What's up guys, my name is Ace, and welcome to the first episode of Gun Guides for XDefiant. In this episode, we're going to be diving deep into the stats of the brand new LVOA-C that came with the Season 1 update, and toward the end, I'm going to be sharing 3 attachment combinations that I've been enjoying so far. Now, just a quick note before we get into this, just to set expectations for you guys, at this stage, I have no intention of covering every single gun in XDefiant for this series. At first, I think I'm just going to cover some of the more popular guns, the guns that I personally enjoy the most, and then we'll go from there. If the series is more popular than I anticipate, then perhaps I'll dive a little deeper and cover more weapons. But with that out of the way, let's dive into this episode with the LVOA-C, and we're going to start this off with our range, shots to kill, and time to kill comparison. And it turns out we actually have the exact same damage profile as both the MDR and the M4A1, meaning it's going to be a 6-shot kill in the maximum damage range, which will extend out to 32 meters. Then from 32 to 44 meters, it'll be a 7-shot kill to the body. And then beyond 44 meters, this is where it's going to take you 8 shots to kill against 100 HP enemies, so non-phantom players. Now, time to kill wise, it's worth noting we get a noticeably better time to kill than both the MDR and the M4A1 since we have a noticeably higher fire rate at 800 rounds per minute. And it turns out, in the maximum damage range to the body against regular health enemies, we actually have the fastest time to kill potential out of all of the assault rifles at 375 milliseconds. So this has dethroned the ACR 6.8 as the fastest killing assault rifle up close. However, it is worth noting at a distance, there are several assault rifles that will kill faster than the LVOA-C, so it definitely excels within that maximum damage range. As for headshots, this gun doesn't really excel in the maximum damage range in this area since it requires 3 headshots mixed in with 2 body shots in order to cut that down to a 5-shot kill for a 300 millisecond time to kill. And while in some situations that's totally viable, oftentimes landing 3 headshots is a little bit much. 1 or 2 is a lot more reasonable, 3 is where it starts to become a lot more difficult. However, beyond that maximum damage range, we only need 1 headshot mixed in with body shots to cut our shots to kill down by 1. So I would say for up close and personal, generally speaking, it's better to aim for the body unless you really feel confident you can hit a bunch of headshots, whereas at a distance, this is where you definitely want to try to at least mix 1 headshot in there. And there we go, that covers it for the raw power of this gun against regular health enemies. But what about phantoms? Let's have a look at that as well. And unfortunately, the LVOA-C does not excel against phantom players. Just like with the MDR and the M4, it's going to take us 8 shots to kill against a phantom user in the first 2 damage ranges. And that's a lot. We definitely don't excel in the time to kill department compared to many of the other assault rifles here. And this is definitely one of the downsides of the LVOA-C, although it does have at least one thing going for it here, and that is in that maximum damage range against phantom players, if you just mix 1 single headshot in with body shots, you can at least cut that down to a 7-shot kill, which is still a lot of bullets to kill, but it's definitely an improvement and it will give us a noticeably better time to kill potential. Next up, let's have a look at our general recoil trend that we tend to see with this gun compared to the other assault rifles in the game, and just like with most guns in this game, it kicks upward and to the right in a fairly straight diagonal line. And as we can see here, compared to the M4A1, which I would say is the closest comparable gun, it's got a very similar recoil pattern, but there's a little bit more recoil overall, both vertical and horizontal recoil. We're going to see slightly more with the LVOA-C, but generally speaking, recoil in this game is pretty easy to manage, so I wouldn't say this is a problem or anything. Just know it'll be slightly less accurate than the M4. After that, one area where the LVOA-C really excels is in the handling department. As we can see, we have the fastest aim down sight and sprint out speed out of all of the assault rifles. Well, when it comes to sprint out time, at least, it's tied with the MDR, but since it beats the MDR with aim down sight speed, this is just better overall when it comes to aggressive assault rifle play. And honestly, I found that to be a little bit surprising considering the fact that we also have the best time to kill potential out of the assault rifles up close. Additionally, when it comes to our reload add time, it's pretty standard for an assault rifle at 1.4 seconds. It's not necessarily the fastest reloading assault rifle, but it's pretty close to it. Then after that, let's get into our mobility stats, and we can cover this pretty quick because it's just got standard assault rifle movement speeds. There's nothing at all out of the ordinary here. It's just the same as all of the other assault rifles aside from the MDR, which does excel a bit in this area. And that's going to cover it for all of the important base stats of the LVOA-C. But next, I did want to cover the heavy barrel, since that does change our damage profile, and with some guns, it's very beneficial to use heavy barrel. For other guns, it's a waste of an attachment that actually makes your gun slightly worse. And when it comes to the LVOA-C, with the heavy barrel, our rate of fire is reduced to 720 rounds per minute. Unfortunately, in the maximum damage range, we still have a 6-shot kill potential, same as without the heavy barrel. However, in the second 2 damage ranges, the heavy barrel will reduce our shots to kill down to 6 and 7 respectively. And what this means for our time to kill potential is up close, we get a noticeably worse time to kill with that slower fire rate at 417 milliseconds. Whereas in the second 2 damage ranges, since we're cutting down on the number of shots to kill, we will see a noticeably improved time to kill potential. In saying that though, most of your gunfights should be falling within that maximum damage range, and therefore more often than not, time to kill wise, the heavy barrel is actually going to be hurting you with the LVOA-C. Now, there is a bit more nuance to this when we start talking about headshots though, so let's go over that. With the heavy barrel in that maximum damage range, now it takes 2 headshots mixed in with body shots for a 5-shot kill. Whereas like I said earlier, without the heavy barrel, it takes 3 headshots mixed in for a 5-shot kill. So that is one potential benefit to using the heavy barrel, and it is also worth noting, if you can land 4 consecutive headshots while using the heavy barrel, you can actually get a 4-shot kill for a really fast 250 millisecond time to kill, but those situations will be quite rare for most people. Also, if we are playing against phantoms, the heavy barrel will reduce our shots to kill down to 7, whereas it takes 8 shots to kill without that heavy barrel, unless you mix a headshot in. So there is a bit of a benefit there with the heavy barrel against phantom players, but again, without the heavy barrel, it just takes 1 headshot to get that same benefit, and we can maintain a higher fire rate, and therefore a better 7-shot time to kill potential. So in general, with the heavy barrel on this gun, I would say it's not totally useless. There are some use cases with it, but generally speaking, I wouldn't recommend it. Personally, I stay away from the heavy barrel on this gun, since I find that in the majority of situations, it's going to be hurting more than helping. And with that out of the way, one last thing I wanted to mention here is the Cleaners faction, where we get that bonus burn damage. I just wanted to point out that burn damage is generally going to be doing nothing for you with this gun, and therefore I wouldn't recommend using Cleaners with this if you're trying to use it with the intention of getting extra kills with that burn damage. And now that we've got all that covered, we can finally move into a few excellent attachment combinations I threw together for you guys. And the first one is my personal favorite. This is my LVOA-C Strafe build. And with this one, we're using the rapid fire barrel, which will give us a better time to kill potential. We're using the small vert grip on the front rail, the quick mag, the leather wrapped grip, and the lightweight stock. So we're stacking very heavy toward aim down sight movement speed, and you can see it's very fast at 4.12 meters per second. This allows you to strafe very effectively in gunfights. And while this setup is slightly less accurate than the base gun, and we also have very slightly slower handling stats, our aim down sight and sprint out times are a bit slower than the base. They're still faster than basically all of the other assault rifles out there, and the rest is just pure upsides. And that's where I should also mention here, you might notice I'm not using an optic. I find the iron sights on this gun to be very good for this game, and therefore I have no problem not using an optic with this. So like I said, that one is my personal favorite. However, I've got a couple other options for you guys. The next one I wanted to share is my rush build. So I treat this kind of like an SMG, and with this one, we're using the lightweight barrel. We're once again using that small vert grip on the front rail and the quick mag attachment. For our rear grip, we're using quick draw, and then finally for our stock, we're using the removed stock option. And with this one, we are taking a slight hit to our range, but it's still pretty solid at 29 meters, still going to be way better than the SMGs in this game. Both our aim down sight and sprint out speeds are very noticeably improved at 175 milliseconds. That's right around what you'd expect out of an SMG in this game, which is great. And all of our movement speed values are very noticeably improved here as well. In fact, all of these speeds are noticeably faster than the base movement speeds of the SMGs in this game. So you can really get around the map super effectively with this. You can snap onto target very quickly. We get a solid time to kill up close, and therefore this gun's just really well suited to that. And you can see we are taking a hit to our recoil, again, just a little bit, but if you're keeping yourself up close and personal, which you should be with this build, that recoil shouldn't be a problem for you at all. But then finally, switching up the roles a little bit, I wanted to share more of my ranged build. Now, to be clear, the gun itself doesn't really excel at super long ranges. This is more for like mid to long range engagements. And with this one, we're using the chrome lined barrel to improve our range values, the angled grip on the front rail, the reflex optic, the quick mag, and then finally the fabric rear grip. And with this one, we get a nicely improved range value at 38 meters for our maximum damage range and 53 meters for our second damage range. Our aim down sight speed is harmed a little bit, but again, this is still better than all of the other assault rifles at 263 milliseconds. Our movement speeds are being harmed a little bit as well here, but that's okay because this setup's not designed like the previous ones for maximum aggression. It's more for slower, methodical play, and we do get quite a nice recoil pattern here, so it is quite accurate and easy to control. Now, I'll admit, this isn't my favorite out of the three simply because I prefer being a bit more aggressive, but I want to make sure I'm sharing enough variety for you guys. So for those of you guys that like a bit of a slower, more methodical playstyle, try this one out, and I think you'll like it quite a bit. And there we go. That's going to wrap it up for today's gun guide on the LVOA-C assault rifle. As for my thoughts on this gun, I actually think it's very good. It's one of the best assault rifles now, and at least in my opinion, it's just a clear step up from both the MDR and the M4A1. Now, of course, I'm curious to hear what you guys think about this gun in those comments down below. And also, I am going to let you guys guide this series at least to a degree, so please let me know in the comments down below which gun you'd like to see me cover next for this series. If you enjoyed this one, a like rating is always appreciated, and don't forget to subscribe for more if you haven't already. I'll talk to you guys next time.